All right, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. Can I get a roll call?
Michael Cashman.
Present.
Thomas Wood.
Here.
Charles Costick.
Here.
Dana Isabella.
Here.
Daniel Bosley.
Here.
James Coffey.
Here.
And I, Katie Pellucci, am present.
We have a hybrid meeting tonight because next week is the Association of Towns, and some of us will be down at the conference, so making sure that we can get some stuff moving forward. We're going to do the resolutions that are before you. I have a presentation following that, then draft resolutions, and then any committee reports that folks may have. I also want to say at the top of the meeting that I had some dental work today, so my tongue is a little fat and all over the place. So apologize if I misspeak. Then we go into the first resolution, which is Resolution 59.
Sure thing. Coming right up. Here it is, I see it now. A resolution approving the terms and conditions of a certain payment in lieu of tax agreement to be entered into between County of Clinton Industrial Development Agency and the company as defined herein in connection with the Microbird Inc. project being undertaken by the agency, and B, a certain host community agreement which may be entered into between the company and Beacon Town Central School District. Be it enacted that the Town Board of the Town of Plattsburgh, New York, as follows. Whereas pursuant to Title I of Article 18-A of the General Municipal Law of the State of New York as amended in Chapter 225 of the laws of 1971 of the State of New York as amended, codified as Section 895F of said General Municipal Law, said chapter and enabling act being hereinafter collectively referred to as the Act, the County Legislature of Clinton County has heretofore appointed the chairperson and members of the Clinton County Industrial Development Agency and has duly caused to be filed in the office of the Secretary of State of the State of New York the certificates required by Section 856 of the Act. And whereas the agency is in process of undertaking a project for the benefit of Corporation Microbird Inc., Canadian Corporation, which project consists of the following. A, the acquisition of a leasehold interest in 3 parcels of land containing an aggregate approximately 59.14 acres and located at 260 Baker Road and elsewhere on Baker Road. The tax maps are listed here. In the town of Plattsburgh, Clinton County, New York, together with an existing manufacturing and warehouse facility. 2, the reconstruction and renovation of the existing facility, and 3, the acquisition and installation therein and thereon of related fixtures, machinery, equipment, and other tangible personal property. And let's see here, I lost it. And all of the foregoing to be A, with respect to the land and existing facility owned by Valiant Real Estate USA Inc., a business corporation organized and, let's see here, existing pursuant to the laws of the state of Delaware, and 2, leased to Microbird USA, LLC, a limited liability company organized and existing pursuant to the laws of the state of Delaware. The operating company and collectively with the applicant and the owner, known as the company. With respect to the equipment owned by the operating company and C, operated by the operating company, respect to the equipment owned by the operating company, I think I read that line twice, as a manufacturing and warehousing facility for the manufacture and storage of shuttle buses and other directly and indirectly related activities. B, the granting of certain financial assistance within the directly and indirectly related activities. And, oh, I'm sorry, I'm losing it for some reason. I'm having trouble following. Within the meaning, oh my gosh, hold on, B, the granting of certain financial assistance, meaning of Section 854, Part 14 of the Act, with respect to the foregoing, including potential exemptions from certain sales and use taxes, real property taxes, real property transfer taxes, and mortgage recording taxes, collectively called the financial assistance. And C, the lease or sale of the project facility to the company or such other person as may be designated by the company and agreed upon by the agency. pursuant to a lease agreement, pursuant to which, 1, the company will agree to A, cause the project to be undertaken and completed, B, as agent of the agency to undertake and complete the project, and C, to pay as rent thereunder the agency's administrative fee with respect to the project, together with the agency's expenses relating thereto, and 2, the agency will A, agree to undertake the project, B, appoint the company as agent of the agency to undertake and complete the project, C, agree to lease the project facility to the company, and D, grant to the company certain options to acquire the project facility from the agency. And whereas the town of Plattsburgh, the Beekmantown Central School District, and Clinton County constitute all of the affected tax jurisdictions with respect to the project facility, and whereas to effectuate a real property tax exemption with respect to the project facility by reason of the involvement of the agency with the project, A, the company and the agency will execute and deliver a payment in lieu of tax agreement by and between the company and the agency, pursuant to which the company will agree to pay certain payments in lieu of taxes with respect to the project facility to the county treasurer of Clinton County for distribution to all or a portion of the affected tax jurisdictions, and the agency will file with the appropriate assessor or assessors having jurisdiction over the project facility and mail to chief executive officer of each of the affected tax jurisdictions a copy of the New York State Board of Real Property Services Form RP-412-A relating to the project facility and payment in lieu of tax agreement. And whereas the proposed terms of the payment in lieu of tax agreement constitute a deviation from the agency's uniform tax exemption policy, and whereas pursuant to the policy and section 874 of the Act, by letter dated January 31st of 2025, the executive director of the agency caused notice to be mailed to the chief executive officers of the affected tax jurisdictions informing said individuals of the proposed terms of the payment in lieu of tax agreement and of the future meeting of the agency, at which the members of the agency would consider said proposed terms. And whereas pursuant to the pilot deviation notice letter, the agency informed the affected tax jurisdictions that the proposed payment in lieu of tax agreement, A, would not provide any abatements for any special assessments levied on the project facility, and B, would be for a term of 15 years and would provide for an abatement of real property taxes as follows. 1, full abatement of real property taxes on the land, the existing facility, and any portion of the equipment accessible as real property pursuant to the New York Real Property Tax Law in years 1 through 5 of the proposed pilot agreement. And 2, partial abatement of real property taxes on the land, the existing facility, and the improvements in years 6 through 15 of the proposed pilot agreement with the company, making payments in each year as follows. There's a table as stated here. Whereas the school district has indicated to the agency, A, that it does not wish to receive any of the pilot payments allocable to the school district under the payment in lieu of tax agreement, and B, that it may consider entering into certain host community agreements and by and between the school district and the company. And whereas section 858, part 15 of the Act provides that unless otherwise agreed in writing by the affected tax jurisdictions, all pilot payments payable under payment in lieu of tax agreement must be allocated among the affected tax jurisdictions in the same proportions to the amount of real property tax and other taxes which would have been received by each affected tax jurisdiction had the project facility not been tax exempt due to the status of the agency. And whereas a result of the district request and for purposes of compliance with section 858, part 15 of the Act, the agency and the affected tax jurisdictions desire that the town approve the allocation of the pilot payments payable under the payment in lieu of tax agreement. And whereas a result of the level of abatement requested, the agency and the affected tax jurisdictions additionally desire that the town approve the proposed terms of the payment in lieu of tax agreement as outlined above. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Plattsburgh is as follows. Section 1, for the purpose of satisfying the requirements contained in the policy and the Act, the town hereby 1, acknowledges notification of any deviation from the policy, 2, waives any formal notice from the agency of any deviation from the policy, and 3, approves the payment terms to be contained in the payment in lieu of tax agreement as substantially described above. Section 2, for the purpose of satisfying the requirements contained in section 858, part 15 of the New York State General Municipal Law and the requirements, if any, contained in the policy, the town hereby approves the terms and conditions of the payment in lieu of tax agreement, including but not limited to the terms of the distribution and allocation of payments under the payment in lieu of tax agreement. Thereunder, including no payments be made to the school district by the company thereunder. Section 3. The town supervisor is hereby authorized on behalf of the town to execute and deliver a consent to the payment in lieu of tax agreement if requested by the agency for the purpose of evidencing its approval to the proposed payment terms of the payment in lieu of tax agreement. And payment in lieu of tax agreement to contain the terms described above and in the pilot deviation notice letter. Section 4, the officers, employees, and agencies of the town are hereby authorized and directed for and in the name of the on behalf of the town to do all acts, things required or provided for by the applicable provisions of this resolution in order to ensure compliance with such provisions as they relate to the execution and delivery of the payment in lieu of tax agreement and the host community agreement, or consents thereto, and to execute and deliver all such additional certificates, instruments, and documents, and to do all such further acts and things as may be necessary, or in the opinion of the officer, employee, or agent acting desirable and proper to effect the purposes of the foregoing resolution. Section 5, this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Costick, is there a second? Any discussion? Seeing none.
Who is the second?
Yeah. Can I get a roll call, please?
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Charles Costick,
Yes.
Dana Isabella,
Yes.
Daniel Bosley,
Yes.
Michael Cashman.
Yes, resolution is carried, thank you. I know that was a lengthy one. Resolution 60, a resolution from the town of Plattsburgh to the Public Service Commission and state legislators regarding NYSEG electric rates.
Whereas the town of Plattsburgh is committed to protecting its residents from financial hardship, particularly in the face of escalating utility costs, and whereas residents, especially seniors, fixed-income households, and working-class families are facing an increasing burden due to rising electric rates and excessive fees imposed by the New York State Electric and Gas Corporation, NYSEG. And whereas the Public Service Commission, the PSC, and the New York State legislators have a duty to ensure that utility rates are fair, just, and reasonable, and that additional fees such as energy distribution charges are not arbitrarily inflated to the detriment of consumers. And whereas NYSEG has reported significant profits, including a net income of $150 million in 2022, raising concerns that current rate structures may not reflect the economic challenges faced by everyday New Yorkers. And whereas the delivery charges imposed by NYSEG have dramatically increased, creating an unsustainable financial strain on households that rely on essential energy services, particularly in an era of inflation and economic uncertainty. And whereas the residents of the town of Plattsburgh have voiced their frustration and concern over rising energy costs, with many struggling to afford basic utilities necessary for their health and well-being, and whereas the potential economic disruptions, including tariffs and trade uncertainties, affecting cross-border energy supply, New York State must take proactive steps to prevent further financial strain on ratepayers. And whereas the escalating electric costs are further exacerbated by inflation, which continues to impact household budgets, increase the cost of living, and contribute to growing financial insecurity across the region. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Plattsburgh urges the Public Service Commission, the PSC, Governor Kathy Hochul, and the New York State Legislature to take immediate action by implementing the following cost-saving measures to protect consumers. 1, rate adjustment and oversight. Conduct an independent review of NYSEG's rate structure to ensure that rate increases and distribution fees are justified, transparent, and proportionate to actual service costs rather than corporate profit margins. 2, fee reduction and transparency. Require NYSEG to eliminate or reduce excessive delivery fees and other surcharges that disproportionately impact residential customers, particularly those on fixed incomes. 3, enhance consumer protection. Expand financial assistance programs for low-income households. Increase access to energy efficiency grants, and establish stronger safeguards against unfair rate hikes. 4, utility reform and accountability. Implement stricter state oversight of NYSEG to prevent unjustified increases, ensure better corporate accountability, and improve transparency in utility pricing and service quality. 5, legislative action. Urge state lawmakers to pass legislation that places caps on excessive energy delivery charges and requires utilities to reinvest a portion of their profits into infrastructure improvements and customer relief programs. Be further resolved that copies of this resolution can be sent to the Public Service Commission, Governor Kathy Hochul, relevant state legislators, and other key stakeholders, calling for urgent reforms to protect the financial stability of residents in the town of Plattsburgh and across New York State.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Isabella, is there a second?
Second.
Costick. I just want to provide some additional context. I have been having numerous conversations with NYSEG for many months advocating and having conversations with individuals. I've been talking with our state legislators. I know that you too have also heard concerns from residents alike. There is some conversation that's occurring in the state legislative body and the governor. Even with some of those things moving forward, I think it's important that we contribute our concerns officially through this resolution moving forward and registering with the PSC, the governor, as well as our state legislators. So there certainly is more work that needs to be done, but you know, I believe that this is one of the things that we can do among a slate of others to advocate for our residents and taxpayers. So.
Should we also put a resolution in for public ownership of our utilities?
I mean, there are many different things moving forward that I think there's conversations to occur, but I believe now is the time with these, you know, these items. These are all things that have been on the docket over the last couple of years, and the legislative action specifically to put some caps on energy costs, I certainly believe is, you know, a certain, you know, reasonable expectation with some things. So, can I get a roll call?
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Charles Costick,
Yes.
Dana Isabella,
Yes.
Daniel Bosley,
Yes.
and Michael Cashman.
Yes, resolution carries. The last active resolution for consideration tonight is Resolution 61, request to travel to the Association of Towns and New York Conference of Mayors, NICOM, Local Government Lobby Day.
Whereas the Association of Towns and New York Conference of Mayors are joining forces to ensure that our state budget priorities are at the forefront of the state legislature's mind during the final weeks leading up to the budget's adoption. And whereas in an effort to drive home our position on critical funding for local governments that should be included as part of the adopted 2025-2026 state budget, it is encouraged that a representative from the town of Plattsburgh travel to Local Government Lobby Day on March 4th of 2025 at the Hilton Albany in Albany, New York. Therefore be it resolved that Michael Cashman, supervisor, may be approved to attend Local Government Lobby Day on Monday, March 3rd through Monday, March 4th. Be it further resolved that expenses for said travel are not to exceed $500, and a copy of this resolution be given to the finance manager.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Bosley. Is there a second?
Second.
Bosley. This is something that I did last year. Actually, there was a nice delegation from Clinton County that went down last year. I'm hoping that will occur. I already have meetings with our state legislators queued in to talk about our state, you know, our town priorities, and then echo the ones that are advancing. So, all those in favor to say aye?
Aye.
And I'm abstaining. All right. With nothing further to do for active stuff, I'm going to go over the presentation. I am putting the presentation on the TV. This is a presentation as it relates to the town hall campus. It was from a space and utilization, a safety and space utilization study that occurred that we approved last year. Areas of focus are on administrative, justice court, and infrastructure services. And when I say infrastructure services, those are highway, the water department, and building and grounds. You know, I think it's important to note before I advance in this presentation is that the town of Plattsburgh is this year going to be celebrating its 240th year. And the town has seen significant growth since it was chartered, or founded, I should say, in 1785. And many people may not know this piece of history, is that where Twin State is today used to serve as town hall. So it just kind of gives you a sense of the progression and stuff. And and I didn't try to make this too photo heavy other than from the report, but it'll give you some pieces. What I want to achieve today is to go through the concept of, you know, the mantra that we often use is study, plan, implement. So I want to talk a little bit about the study. I want to talk a little bit about the plan, and then what it would mean to implement some of these things. Okay. So want to capture some things from the executive summary, and then I want to expand upon some of it as well. For simplicity's sake, the language here, I think, really does capture the narrative pretty well, so I'm going to read some of the highlighted sections. The current building and configuration and systems present significant security and safety issues for the public, law enforcement, and court staff. By allowing unfettered access throughout the facility, compounding these issues is high volume annual docket loads of approximately 9,000 cases, which is downstairs in the court, making this venue one of New York's top 6% of town and village court facilities. Accessibility of the courtroom for ADA compliance and the lack of current courtroom standards presents ongoing access and security challenges to be in compliance with federal and state regulations. Compliance made significantly more difficult with the court's below-grade location. The reason that I wanted to start with that first is, while we think of town hall, I want to open the aperture of our understanding of the facility, okay? It's not just town hall, it's the form and functions of what we have here. We've gone through many evolutions over the last number of years, dating back to circa 1972, then through the 90s, and there have been a lot of changes. The court actually went through kind of a reconstruction phase a number of years ago, and I would dare say, while it alleviated some of the problems, it created new problems as well. So what we are looking at here is approximately a 25-year vision for the space, okay? Again, it is anchored in safety, security, and function. The vision is based on the improvement of services offered, the greater collaboration for interdepartmental communication, increased efficiency of space, equipment and personnel, and improving the safety, security for all personnel with a quality workplace environment as well, okay? So it's not just about, oh, we need a new facility because wouldn't that be grand, okay? It really is getting down to the nuts and bolts of what does the facility need to do to serve the public and to provide the environment for the employees and the public that visit here. The existing municipal structure, as it states here, there are numerous staff, safety, security, and air quality and water infiltration issues on both floors, but more acutely in the basement. Mold, okay? We could go on at length about this, but I just want to highlight, again, it is not simply just about having new digs, okay, and moving walls. It's about the presence of making sure that we are meeting standards for providing a safe environment for our employees. Air quality, water infiltration in the basement as an example. So the site plan for the master building here, again, the proposed town hall campus represents a significant investment in modern infrastructure designed to enhance public services, promote employee collaboration, and set a new standard for safety and accessibility. In the highlight below, okay, you will notice that we will try to use whatever existing assets wherever feasible, but the approach is to construct a new standalone municipal building on current vacant land to accommodate select municipal departments that need to work together, then stage and relocate municipal functions in the new structure for from the existing structure, and to renovate and modernize the existing structure and system to accommodate. This is just the quick cart master plan recommendations. There's a variety of them. I'm going to go through and break them down into more specific slides. So the location. The land is already owned by the town of Plattsburgh. In fact, if you stand at the vestibule here at the building, you can look across the parking lot to the green space that the town owns. So it's not about securing more property, it's property that the town already owns, and in fact, it was always meant to be used in some form or fashion that would be most beneficial to the town. So we often hear this phrase, plan the work, work the plan, and we do this everything from when we work with businesses that come into the region, we do this when we're working with recreation, we do this in all the other areas of the town. It also means that we do it for ourselves. And we are planning the work and we are working the plan. LaBerge Group, again, was authorized last year to help us develop a plan that we can work from. This is being done through a multi-point safety lens, okay? I cannot express enough how safety is the driving vehicle here. We are going to continue to examine things through the unified court system, the sheriff's department, our volunteer fire departments. We're served by Morrisonville, but they have mutual response. The Office of Emergency Management, most people don't realize that this space could be utilized if there was another ice storm, for example. Also Morrisonville, EMS, CBPH, and then the hallmark of accessibility. We have a number of seniors that visit this space, and we've been working on upgrading the vestibule, but that was just one example of a much larger. So even though we're doing this process, we are working in parallel motions where we're trying to upgrade some of the facilities where it's appropriate and could be universally used in the future, okay? So I'm not gonna go into every element of this, but I thought people would find this a little fascinating, is the size and weight increases from some of the vehicles. When we first kind of had, vehicles here, back into, 1972, the highway trucks were a lot of times single axle dump trucks, okay? Much smaller. Now what we're talking about is modern plows that the plows can extend between 12 to 14 feet by themselves, okay? That's just a picture of the two of the vehicles, and obviously it doesn't get all the way into the wing, but these vehicles are massive. On days like today where it's wintry weather and we're telling people to slow down and be mindful and stuff like that, when we go into the map, you're gonna see one of the first safety issues with our vehicles. Before we even get inside of our campus and property, we're already starting to think about property, hence the red color here. So this is the conceptual mock-up for the town hall campus plan. You can see that red line. That red line is where these large vehicles from the highway department, building and grounds, and the water department. One of the things that you will notice immediately is that the public and our equipment will not cross paths anymore. I would invite you to come here and stand in the parking lot of the court, okay, and on a night that there is a water main break, and how the water department has to mobilize and get large equipment out of the parking lot when it's full is very dangerous, okay? So while you may look at it and say, well, it's not like that all the time, there are periods that make it very, very difficult for them to navigate their equipment. It makes it really unsafe for the public that's in the parking space because they're not used to the traffic flows and patterns on days like today. And in the winter, we have large pieces of highway equipment that are being mobilized to plow. During the summer, we have equipment that's coming in that are used seasonally to do paving and stuff like that. So having this new transportation line around the property already removes a significant safety risk there, okay? So then we would also have a shared parking lot in the blue area. You'll see inflow and outflow separated, but easily people can go from one building to another. This is the conceptual town hall plan for the building that we sit in currently. The priority of the safety right now but for long-term use, is to actually take the Justice Court and bring it up here in this building, okay? But while doing that, maximizing the opportunity for this building with egress, with safety, airflow, and all the other things that I had talked about in the previous slides. So some of the highlights that I just want to touch upon is that for those of you that are more familiar with the inner workings to the building here, is that the business office would become part of the court justice system and where the offices are, where Jess's office would be part of the office space. And then there would be a firewall that would be put there, and there would be an extension of the water department. We've been talking about upgrading SCADA and other things. Where they are currently located make it difficult to be closer to the server room and things, so it would be an expanded opportunity for the water department. But then you'll also notice in the map there with the colors is that building and grounds would also acquire some new space, because we've been able to reallocate more space to the water department, thus giving building and grounds more space. On the back side of the building, we are actually,
That would be where the zoning, previously just said, what's where the zoning.
where codes and
Land
zoning and
and-
assessing and planning is.
Yeah.
Yep, so the water department would take a portion of that. And that is where, where I'm calling infrastructure services for the water department, because we're gonna talk about where the other portion of the water department's going in a little bit. We're also accounting for a new paint booth as well. You know, much of the vehicles and the standards have changed significantly. We do not have a full-blown paint booth right now. We try to do a lot of stuff internally. Air quality needs to be managed. We have spent significant money on new air handlers. Here at the town, we want to make sure that we're not blowing that paint and getting it sucked up into the system. So that's an example. Looping back up to the front of this building, the space that we're in here today would be the courtroom, okay? And on the far end of the building over near where Katie and Jackie is, there would actually be a outpost for our law enforcement. One of the reasons that we wanted to do that is to allow for more of a presence from the state police and the sheriff's department, because we are approximately the 77th busiest court out of the 1,200 courts of towns and villages in New York State. They're in and out a lot. By having a more dedicated professional space for them is respectable to the work that they do. It would also allow for easier access, and it would also allow for better response should a situation occur. This space also allows for updated ADA compliant bathrooms in this location as well, over near where Erin and the counselor's room is. So we've accounted for that. It also would allow for the highway superintendent to have an expanded office and create a new access point for visitors into the highway superintendent's office, separating out some of the stuff. On the side of the building, you'll also notice that there's a different inflow and outflow for where law enforcement can bring individuals from like the sheriff's department in, and also there would be a blocking station for staff, so that they would not have to come in and out with individuals that are maybe being brought in by the sheriff's department for hearings and stuff like that. So there's a safety concern. Keeping with the public safety, but public service portion of it, is that yellow block there is actually a window, walk-up window, that would allow for easy access for the folks in the town court to be able to manage that directly. Tom, you seem to have a question.
No, I just trying to visualize the whole thing.
Yeah. I would acknowledge that these are not formal blueprints. These are conceptual plans, so there are more things that will need to occur. But this gives you a sense of not only the current needs for this space, but where the needs for growth would need to occur as well. The highway department on the back end too would also gain some extra access. We have talked about what it looks like for mechanic offices and so on and so forth, so it just builds in the appropriate staffing between those departments, okay?
For all that to happen, we have to start with a new building.
I have a
You're
question.
jumping ahead of me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The little block in the front where highway currently is, what
Yep.
does that say? I can't see it on either.
What do you mean, the green space?
Yeah, what is that? I see the restrooms are above it, what's that?
That's the highway superintendent's office.
Okay, so it's still the highway.
It's still the highway superintendent.
Okay.
All it does is it accommodates for a better staircase
Okay,
in their office, because if you go in there right now, there are some, if you've ever tried to bring anything in and out of that staircase, it's not wide enough.
Okay.
So the office would gain a little additional space, and we would accommodate some new entry points.
Okay.
Yep. So highways gaining space, building and grounds is gaining space, water department's gaining space, and the court is gaining space, and meeting the increased level of safety that has really been demanded for a long time. And there's other points of safety and access as well, okay? So before we even go to the new administrative section of this, what's going to occur downstairs? Katie can attest, and thank you to her good work. We have been really working very hard to recalibrate all of our printed materials and archives and stuff. This allows for the archives to be reworked in such a fashion that makes it more manageable, accessible, keep our fingers on things, but there will be some new space down below for expansion of our, where the town court is. We can expand some of those things. The other part to it, which is very exciting, is that we have a number of agencies that have been looking for programming space. So it would allow for us to offer our fire departments, okay, archival space if they wanted it. And it would also provide us to create a space for them to do trainings. Like right now, they use the mall for some of their trainings and other things. It doesn't mean that it has to be solely that, but we could do it where it could be a multifunctional space for other agencies that support the town and vice versa. But because people won't be down there 8 hours a day, it will meet a certain level of safety, but it's a different, more multifunctional space.
But with the new building, that's where the other office is gonna be, they're gonna have to go all the way.
People do not go down into the archive space at the level that people think. People are not going down there every single day. And when we get into it, there will be some storage space that accounts for it as well.
But whenever there's somebody asking for some particular thing, public or something, they have to go down there to get it.
The public doesn't, Katie and the departments.
But that's what I mean,
Yep.
and they're gonna be over in another building.
And we're gonna get to that.
Oh, okay.
So, okay.
We have a tree,
Offsite
we have one of
storage
those
for
tree-
records is not uncommon.
No, it's not.
It's good. It's
And
gonna take us from one to the
lucky
other.
Offsite storage is very common. The other part to it is, we have now entered an era where many more of the documents have become digitized, okay? And there's a different access point to being able to provide some of the materials and stuff like that.
Well, we have to keep all those.
We do.
Many of those we have to keep
We
forever.
do, and that's why it's important to have it. So again, I just want to orient people where we are, okay? So now imagine walking out past the vestibule, those two red dots right there. Imagine opportunities for EMS, the state troopers, the sheriff's department having easier close access to the building. Then there's some handicapped spaces, there's universal parking. This is public parking. Staff parking is on the outside of both the buildings, okay? Because the idea is that the staff are gonna usually come in during the day, they're gonna park, it limits the inflow and outflow for traffic safety and so on and so forth. So again, walking across, we're now gonna enter the conceptual town hall campus plan for admin. This right here was developed, I think it's really important to acknowledge that it's about form and function, it's about co-locating things close to each other, but as you come in, immediately is the town clerk. The town clerk is our records keeper. It's where people are coming for dog licenses and handicap marriage licenses and so on and so forth. So very similar when you walk in, that's kind of the concierge of the town. There is a window there. There is a new system though, where there are hallways, and there is also a door that can be locked. God forbid that there was an active shooter or some other type of situation, the internal block can be locked in between the town clerk and Parks and Recreation and the assessor and codes and zoning, those doorways can be blocked off. In the evening, when the space is being used as well, the office spaces could be locked down. Right now, we have sliding glass doors, we have cattle barn doors, those do not meet safety standards, okay?
Can I ask?
Yep.
Where is there gonna be a window like,
Yep.
tax receiver has now?
Yep, I'm gonna point those out. So those yellow blocks are the windows for the different offices, okay? So Jackie will have both an external one and an internal one, and the town clerk will have one. The water department is now co-located next to the tax receiver's office because she does the payments for the water department. And you'll also notice that the suite for the water department can actually accommodate the entire water department. Right now, half of the water department is down the hallway and the other half is down there, okay? So building enough space so all of the admin water department can be together.
So the director would be in this building?
No, the director will be in the admin building and the deputy, for lack of better terms, will be over here as well. It's a universal system that most departments have, where not all of the departments are in the universal location. It didn't make sense to bring the water admin and leave it over here, because they were gonna need to co-locate, they were gonna have to interact with the tax receiver's office. So infrastructure services, admin services over here, but Scott will have space on both locations that are used very similarly for other municipalities. Parks and Rec is now more directly co-located next to the the town clerk for keys and payments and things like that. The assessors is up front there as well. Codes and zoning will also have a window, as well as the planning department, but that will become a universal suite. And then that block in between the hallway with the purple is where there will be a map room or storage room for documents. The intersection where there's like X's in the purple boxes, those two purple boxes will be bathrooms for staff. Right now, that has been one of the issues, not having enough bathrooms, honestly, here, when there's been larger events and activities. It will also allow for 2 conference rooms, and it will also allow for us to have our, air handler, tech room, all of the infrastructure, stuff for the rooms as well. And then there's obviously a break room. Moving down across the way is the assembly. The assembly will be built very similar to this, with an equal to or larger capacity. The dais will also be raised a little bit. We have been here before for public meetings, and people can't see the speakers. It also will have a public restroom, and the J, just for clarity, is janitor's closet. Someone asked me, what's J? Janitor's closet. And then the supervisor's suite will be co-located with the business department, as well as a small conference room, which is similar to the situation room. And you'll see that all of it has kind of a loop flow. I've already talked with LaBerge Group. That second staff entry that's just next to the business office will actually become surge space for future opportunities to build out. So it'll just be like a dead-end hallway, but if we needed to build another suite or office, that would be there as well.
Where does the lawyer go?
Yeah, well, I was gonna bring
I don't
that
see it.
You don't have an office now, so you'll just show up at the dais.
I'm, well, the J is,
follow
jurist,
the
jurist.
Stands for Jim.
Questions about this?
Yeah, when do we start?
We'll get to that as well.
I knew it was the next thing.
So again, opening the aperture, I want people to understand that this, again, is not just about building a new building, okay? It is about looking through the lens of safety. It is looking at the wider needs of space utilization, needs, form, and function on both sides. It's a more safe, a more efficient future for town services. The relocation to the town court upstairs space, town hall, alongside with the development of a new administrative building, is driven by a fundamental commitment for health and safety and accessibility. This transformation is not merely about space optimization, it is about enhancing the well-being of our employees, the residents, and visitors alike. And people may ask, well, why did you put the employees first? Because they are here every single day doing the work on behalf of our constituents and our residents and taxpayers. We want the best from our employees. We need to make sure that we have the best space that is providing a good output. But we also need to make sure that we're providing a space for our residents and visitors that match that level of professionalism and accessibility. So health and safety is the driving force. It's about security and compliance. Modernizing the town court with a secure and dedicated space ensures compliance with updated judicial safety standards, and safeguarding legal, professional, and the public. It will enhance public access management, okay? Many people, for example, school districts, there's different areas where you lock down different zones and stuff like that. It will still be available to the public, but we're minimizing certain access points for safety in the modern day. So thoughtful reconfiguring with the layout ensures a more organized flow as well, minimizing people having to walk up and down the hallway to different things, more line of sight so people know where to go, rather than walking into this kind of labyrinth of, well, am I here or am I over here? Emergency preparedness, a well-designed space enhances emergency response as well, ensuring that safe egress and efficient security protocols. All you have to do is to go downstairs, okay, and think of an emergency. Even on days like today, there's snow on the stairs to try to get up, okay? If there was an individual in a wheelchair, it makes it very difficult for us to respond to that. Improved quality and ventilation, upgrading the HVAC. We're doing some of these things because some of these things we can't sit on. For a healthier indoor environment, mitigating airborne health risks. ADA accessibility as well. The new layout will prioritize accessibility for individuals, ensuring equal access to the town services without barriers. Enhanced efficiency and public service. The cross-pollination, bringing services together to improve a combination among departments, streamlining government operations, as well as enhancing public service delivery, okay? So being able to get more information to people in a more quicker time. Infrastructure, again, we'll focus on the air quality, and additional integration of energy efficiency, Tom.
Well,
Lighting.
that was gonna be, but I said, oh, you'll probably cover that.
Lighting,
You know.
heating, cooling solutions, environmental impact, all from the position of saving money. You know what I mean? Not even just the environmental impact, but saving money.
It does, saves you money.
Community-centered design, the space is intentionally designed to foster engagement, ensuring a welcoming and functional environment for residents to conduct the business within the town as well. So this gets to the final thing, Tom, of what's next, where are we going? The next steps are finalizing your architectural plans, because again, what you saw are not blueprints. They are not true to every spec.
That'd be done this
Okay.
year, we'd finalize those.
Refining the design to align with safety and efficiency goals and blueprints. Again, safety, safety, safety. Phased implementation, coordinating a structured transition plan to minimize disruption to town services. The new admin building does need to be built first, but at the same time, beginning to spec out this to be able to move the core up. Then, continued stakeholder engagement, gathering employment input from employees, safety officials, okay, and then residents to optimize the layout, because this is, for all intents and purposes, the people's house, you know, for our residents, our taxpayers. This incentive represents a significant step forward to ensuring a safer, healthier, and more effective government facility. It reinforces the town's commitment to, like I said before, plan the work, work the plan. There is still more work to be done, there is still more planning to be done, but I wanted you to have an update as to where we are, because in the coming months, we will again identify additional resources that will need to be invested to take us to that next level in the process. Any questions?
Now, aren't there some, I think part of the reason we did this report was there are some like grant dollars or infrastructure dollars out there that will help with the cost of this?
It will help us identify opportunities through state and federal funding. But I would also couch this though, that the political landscape is changing, so we need to, acknowledge that. But again, just like our water capital plan, there is a certain evergreenness to this, but we cannot not move forward as we identify there are some serious problems that need to be
I totally agree.
responded to, right? So, it's very rare that a municipality, very rare from the standpoint is this isn't something that you develop every year, right? Like, we have to do it, think for 25 years, and then, what's coming up in the
It's
future.
not gonna take 25 years.
No, but it's important, but shovels are not going in the ground today. Shovels are not going in the ground, in December. But we have
Next year,
to,
next year.
it possibly, but it all is determined though based on, again, getting the blueprints, making sure that we're, doing all the work that I just laid out, to ensure that we can move the project forward.
But this year, we probably do some of the blueprints.
My hope is that this year we can remain focused on getting the blueprints done.
Okay.
Any questions?
Well, darn it, he answered them all on the way through, and even if I brought them up before.
I thought you guys coordinated something.
I was just gonna say that.
No, I've just known Tom long enough that I try to anticipate his questions and he usually answers
You know,
others.
That's next. Oh, that's next.
So,
Abbott and Costello.
so again, what I would remind people is, I'll be putting more of this out, just like our water capital plan. We're gonna do a lot of education and letting people know what's going on. You'll notice that this presentation did not focus on the dollar amount right now, because that could change dramatically. The study gave some, like a flex option of various things, but that's very much to the extremes of things to conceptualize. The blueprints will really allow us to begin to better understand like where we need to anchor ourselves in.
Well, it doesn't make any sense to build part of that building and not the rest. That's it. You said you could phase it in?
No, the phasing is the admin building, the town court,
Oh, okay.
the highway departments, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, because you're gonna have to build that whole thing. We have to commit to that
Mhm.
at some point.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
but anyway, we have to find money.
So,
Usual thing.
all right, that concludes
Thank you, Michael.
that presentation.
That's a
Good
great
job.
presentation, thank
Yeah,
you.
no problem.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I didn't see that ahead of time. What is this? Oh, you wanted me to ask those questions, okay.
All right, the last thing I'll just end on is, we do have draft minutes, the lease for automated sports field striping, the temporary seasonal hire, there's some vehicles on there, and then, shop doors, and then, a training for the court. Anyone seeking to provide any committee reports?
I would just say, I had
Can't
opportunity.
beat that report you did, I don't have.
No, there's no way, Tom, I don't have a PowerPoint, so. I did have opportunity Tuesday to attend the South Plattsburgh Fire District meeting, so, a couple of good things came back from there. They were very appreciative of the fact that our business office got their, check over to them for the taxes early, so that was the first thing. They're also very happy we were able to reverse fees that the fire stations or fire districts are being charged for water risers to fill water with fire trucks. They actually are being charged the fire line fee, so we're able to get that reversed out, and they're not gonna pay that going forward, so very appreciative. And, it was good to just have the opportunity to thank them for the service that they provide to the community. And I just wanted to throw out a couple of quick kudos. A couple weeks ago, Water Department was out, sub-zero weather, with a main break, down on the Military Turnpike. So kudos to that team for getting out there. I think it was probably the coldest night that we've had this winter that happened. And I think we also have to throw some kudos out the highway, because this winter's just been one, it's like every day. And we see them out there all the time.
And there are 2 drivers down right now,
Correct.
so
They're doing a
they're
phenomenal,
doing
phenomenal
a
job.
fabulous job, and the morale is really good.
Yep.
Right now, so.
That's it for me.
Anyone else? Going once, going twice, sold. Thank you very much, folks. We will adjourn at 6:54.
You have your food order in?
I'm on the